Mark Consuelos' secret health fight has been revealed, and it is a tragic truth. Kelly Ripa finally speaks out. The story of today is concerned with selflessness, courage, and the unseen battles that people face when they aren't smiling for the camera. Not to find out who's been snooping, but to understand the evolution of a family we've witnessed, we invite you behind the scenes. Get down and work together. Found strength in the face of unfathomable adversity. What happens when one partner decides to speak up? It's a story about perseverance and the impact of honesty, in order to protect and heal, not to assign blame. Keep an ear to the ground because the second Kelly speaks, the situation changes. Many people look up to Mark Consuelos and Kelly Ripa. For decades, they have shared daytime TV recipes, habits, and chemistry that is reminiscent of a cozy Sunday meal with pals. But like a bright light illuminating a window glass, fame envelops ordinary lives. The vista is illuminated, but the shadows within are not constantly. A basic fact will serve as our foundation today. Who we are in public does not reflect our private selves. There is a bigger picture behind the stories shown on television. And sometimes, the broader view reveals unexpected shocks. The noise they were making, which began as insignificant, everyday occurrences, gradually transformed into something we couldn't place at first. The first signs, such as difficulty speaking, an expression when stooping to tie a shoe, or an unusual slumber, can be the most distressing. Jet lag, the stresses of live TV, or the unavoidable aches and pains of an active lifestyle were formerly thought to be the causes of such signals. However, when two individuals live together and use the same dressing room, little signals can quickly escalate into mutual understanding and, ultimately, worry. The day finally came when those inconspicuous clues became a serious question about which they could no longer playfully speculate. The deafening silence that washes over you after receiving a diagnosis is hard to put into words. It is as if that particular room, with its weathered artwork, harsh lighting, and excessively loud ticking clock, exists in another world. Tests followed one consultation. Next, we had more consultations after the exams. It was at this point that the pattern became apparent during those consultations. Here is where many families' once private lives abruptly transition into the medical sphere, rife with unfamiliar terminology and fears. Not everyone wants to be in the news. On occasion, hiding one's true identity serves as protection, not from prying eyes, but from the paralyzing fear that a disease may consume one's own being. Just like any other marriage, Kelly and Mark had to weigh the pros and cons of needing help, making adjustments, and facing the truth versus enjoying some alone time. At first, they vowed to keep this information under wraps so they could keep their family routine, keep their children safe, and keep the job that makes millions of people happy just by being there. There will be little moments and some big ones in every marriage. Unexpectedly, Kelly and Mark were caught off guard at the critical moment, right there in front of a loving, supportive audience in front of the bright lights of the studio. An inadvertent slip-up exposed something more serious during an otherwise humorous episode. Something was amiss in their normally lighthearted conversation. A trembling hand, a disjointed train of thought. Anxieties mixed with the contorted grins of actors well aware that their every move is being recorded. The scale tips over at some point. You start to put your health at risk trying to protect your private life. Medical professionals recommended a shift in approach that called for public reforms, a new medication, and stricter monitoring, reducing travel, changing plans, or even abandoning some responsibilities. Public duties, episodes to film, guests to hire, and an audience to entertain started to slam personal decisions. For some, talking about your partner's health in public is a betrayal, but for others, it's a beautiful demonstration of love. Staying silent became too perilous, so Kelly decided to speak up. She planned to direct the narrative before rumors and speculation took over. She preferred her facts presented in a nice manner, rather than with the harshness of a tabloid. I am quoting her here because she felt strongly that reaching out for help isn't a sign of weakness, and that families may become stronger when members are honest with one another. Statements made in public are works of art. Clarity without divulging personal details and strength without coming across as exploitative are essential. Our idealized version of Kelly's remark starts with gratitude, then recognizes the medical, group, and then tenderly frames Mark's illness as a challenge that the family will overcome as a unit. In her diagnosis, she leaves out important details. Her alternative is a human reality. They need room, time, and patience. The choice of words privacy requested and truth given was intentional. The response was surprisingly mild for a period characterized by brutality. An old colleague contacted me. Past co-hosts have left messages. Fans shared stories of how they took care of their own significant others. A change from gossip to empathy was the topic of discussion throughout morning shows and late-night television. A single family's impact on a community was brought to light once again. It was like dropping in on a neighbor for home watchers aged 60 and up. The harsh truth of medicine is both real and unyielding. Scheduled appointments become the standard. Proper dosing of medication is essential. The way people sleep changes. Learning new habits at home, on top of adjusting to a new diet, physical therapy, and other daily adjustments, can be a daunting task. This rebalancing is both emotionally and practically taxing for couples whose identities were formed by demanding jobs. There is no more permanent type of intimacy than that of a caregiver. It entails making coffee and being there to listen. When the cameras are rolling, it's all about how to hide your nerves with a joke, while scanning is holding a hand. Caring entailed stepping into a delicate, steady role, which people seldom see, but which characterizes a marriage, especially someone accustomed to a public platform like Kelly. After the initial shock wore off, the family was left with a decision to make. They may choose to isolate themselves entirely or make a cause out of their pain. Private healing and public activism are often chosen by many families. Our protagonists, Kelly and Mark, utilized their platforms to advocate for the care they needed, encourage early screenings, and support research. This is a typical path. When one's own hardship has an effect on their community, we seldom take a straight line on our health journeys. Remissions and relapses are like days and nights, respectively. After a promising test result, a disappointing one could keep you up at night. Inside a home, those evenings can be long and noisy. Viewers, particularly those who have experienced similar cycles in their own life, may find these moments to be reminiscent of a familiar sad melody. When sickness strikes a family, it may be a challenging situation for parents. What amount is fair to divide up? Even though we have a powerful protective instinct, trust is built via honesty. Our made-up narrative has Kelly and Mark sitting down with their children, not to frighten them, but to involve them in the family's plan to deal with the crisis. There was a lot of reassurance, and the conversation was honest and suitable for the child's age. The workplace may be both a friend and an enemy to couples. The story's production team rescheduled events. Substitute hosts were guests. We altered the scripts. However, the emotional climate changed as well as the logistical. Members of staff who were familiar with the couple's dynamic offered their encouragement. Transportation, family-prepared meals, and sympathetic ears. Such actions bring to mind a company that values the importance of personal relationships. The media's role can be considered at this juncture. Stores run amok whenever a celebrity family becomes sick. Exaggerated news accounts have the potential to harm. Good journalism has the power to show empathy and bring attention to important issues. A small number of media outlets adhered to the family's need for privacy and presented facts cautiously in our revised story. Some went too far, leading to remarks pleading for civility. The importance of ethical journalism, particularly when it comes to health, is brought to light by this tension. Kelly utilized her voice to guide viewers to resources that could provide assistance, such as screenings, support groups, and organizations. This was a tried and true method that the 60-something demographic enjoyed. Like a concerned citizen distributing reliable pamphlets at a community center, a famous person can use their fame for the greater benefit. Everyone understood. Support and early identification have the power to change the results. Although social media has its dark side, it also has its light side. Complete strangers shared their experiences with healing, recipes, and suggested doctors. Volunteers in the area set up compassionate outreach events, fundraisers, and blood drives. Addressing a target that recalls block parties and neighborhood bake sales, when dignity is more of a state of mind than an actual trait. Finding the right balance between sharing some treatment updates with the public and keeping some nights private is no easy task. Being forthright enough to teach, discreet enough to shield, and constant enough to maintain credibility, that is the art that Kelly and Mark displayed in this story. Those who appreciate consistency were impressed by their ability to maintain a steady rhythm. The caretaker is frequently disregarded. Kelly required encouragement to build her own resilience. Getaway moments, therapy, and reliable friends who could bring solace that no news story could match. Caring for one's own needs isn't egotism. Maintaining one's existence is that. Everyone in our audience who has ever taken care of a spouse knows this. If your vessel is empty, you cannot pour from it. Standing firm in the storm isn't how Kelly found strength. The story is about taking solace in the life they created together by side. Their perspective shifted with the changing of the seasons. Their lives now move at a more leisurely pace, in contrast to their previous hectic routines. Mark brought a new vibe whenever he made an appearance on screen again, whether it was a special appearance or a complete comeback. That was the serene assurance of someone who has accepted their own mortality and made joy their priority in life. Couples nowadays care more about the natural beauty of being together than they do about the flawless perfection of fame. Gratefulness now hangs in the air with every shared camera glance, a language known only to those who have experienced the near loss of something important. The audience learns something important. The seemingly invincible golden couples must also brave the flames. In the end, this narrative serves as a reminder that celebrity comes and goes, but what truly matters is dedication. Remember that resilience is frequently silent labor, whether you are dealing with a diagnosis, caring for a loved one, or just being a spectator. Every day, it's a decision to keep loving, keeping hoping, and keeping going. Their story has been heard, and we are grateful. Until we meet again, cling to those you care about.